Hello and welcome to now we're in October, the Veil Iterations, which we are continuing on because I have another thing I want to run, but I keep getting delayed on getting it ready. So this game may continue on even further just to make up for a certain amount of inability to get another project finished, which I also like. One problem feeds the other as it goes on. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. And we've been doing this for a while. We have a set of safety tools that we're using, as we do with all of the games here on the channel. So just to remind us of our lines and veils, because we've been off for a couple weeks. We have a hard line on anything dental horror related, homophobia, sexual assault, torture by the PCs, transphobia, and fat phobia. And then we have a veil on harm to animals and suicide. And then these are issues that if we're going to bring them up as topics in play, we want to check in first, and that is epidemics, mind control, and sexual content. So just to keep those things in mind. Let's start with Heller. Heller, it looks like you're in pretty good shape state-wise.
Yes, I was making pancakes.
That's right. And are you still good with your entanglements?
See here. Yes, I think I am. I just want to make sure that I do, how do you say, circle down around to them.
Okay.
So, yes. So,
Uh,
thank you for bringing those up. I will read on them and push myself that way.
and I think last time you got a chance to do some scavenging.
Yes,
Okay.
and I made a new thing.
Okay.
So,
Let's come to Marley. Marley, it's good to see. I don't see any harm marked on your harm track, which is
I know. That's the first time in a while.
and you've got a couple essence in
Yep.
there. One of the things I haven't added in that we talked about for move wise is for the sort of I can't remember the name of the move to move from one place to another, that you can spend essence to take somebody with
Yes,
you
yes.
as a an option on that. And I don't think you have anything that is directly start of session otherwise,
No.
right? What about the sort of the entanglements, drives? Oh, I see you changed
Oh
your
yeah.
entanglement.
Okay. So my entanglement. I started to change it, and then I realized. So I can't think of any two things that I have that are directly conflicting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of things, but the conflict is more like I don't have the time and resources to pursue all of these things. Um, like I want to get a doll bot to for as a body for Heller. I want to track down this demise guy and find out what's up with him. I want to keep my brother from getting kidnapped and various other whatever else is going to happen to him. And I want to find the stuff flowing down to my homeland and these and learn how to use my powers. And these are all like things that
Mm-hmm.
are tugging on me, but none of them are actually like directly conflicting with any of the others.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Um, I do like what you've got there started is easy entanglement. Like it's a connection. Let's stay with that as it
Uh-huh.
stands, and then maybe we can see if we can change or may add new nuance onto that. But it
Okay.
definitely is a tie to another PC and a project to pursue.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me come to Riddle then. Riddle, let's see. Oh, is that a spiked state I see?
What? No, that couldn't be true. Oh my
Okay.
god. So I don't know when that happened. I've
No,
been so careful with my emotional management.
yes, I do love that you've gone from the character that was every emotion marked at all the time to a character who is entirely on one side of the axis.
It really did work out weirdly that way.
Yeah.
Um I had some XP built up that I hadn't spent, so I took a couple advances. I took my peace up one,
Hmm.
uh, in the idea of like giving a different natural emotion for his playing around with the veil, so I wasn't always leaning on power. And I ended up taking the Thy will be done and it speaks from the attached
Okay.
to go ahead and embody my subconscious, the purple monstrosity. I named it Roxo.
Okay.
Them, I suppose, if I'm going to be nice to them. So I think it all basically works out. Instead of object, I'm just putting in subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
It still has a hunger score. Instead of giving me sync, it would give me imagination.
Yeah, I think
Still do the
that's
XP
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Then yeah, I have that pair, and that finally led me to updating my entanglement, which is full of a lot of made up nonsense, which will
Oh,
hopefully inspire something as we go forward. But it's Genji Loop tries to lead me in the way of the White Room. They think Roxo is a dangerous guide, but Roxo's violet path feels more natural.
I like that very much. We've got a yin and yang thing going on there as well. Uh, uh, I dig that very much. And then last but not least, Gabriel.
Yes. I have enough XP to pick up something, and I want to pitch an idea, see if you think it's okay.
Okay.
I'm thinking of picking up psychometry from the empath, going off of the idea that it's tech-based and being, part of the corp, I can pull Veil memories of a place.
Oh, interesting.
So rather than the emotional residue of an area to reconstruct past events, it's doing priority pulls on the veil that's there to pull up things.
I like that.
And I'd
So,
still keep the game flow as an asset assess pick. That way I could immediately turn it around and
okay.
show someone.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's a really interesting choice because that points to another way that moving a move from another playbook can be handled and still kind of work. So we've got, just changing over. We've got kind of keeping it as is and compartmentalized and stuff. So this is very interesting. Yeah, I think that's a great choice.
Excellent. Thank you.
So on the table, there is still a shadow music war going on in the background with, from what you know, one of the competitors getting ready to maybe make a big play. You have the tech that they believe has been like done in secret, and you are working to start to exploit that, so you are ready when that front in the war opens up. We also had Roxo appear last time, the creation of a subconscious purple room figure, little D&D there, on the table as a thing and as a tension there. We have the question of demise, and there were some points at some more sort of background details about this figure, and we maybe learned a little bit more about the culture last time of your homeland, or your family and where you came from, Marley. We also had you talk to an NPC and strike a deal with the person who works for MedQuick, Zoggy Tingser, and she just wants the Dollbot stuff. And I think that like that can be accomplished on your end, Gabriel, with a simple test. Like we can make a roll and see if there's any kind of complications that go along with it. But I think that's definitely in your wheelhouse because it is something that you dropped on the corpos there. And then the other thing is that Gabriel has a dinner that he has to go to. So those are the big things that are on the table. Is there anything besides the whole sort of big dollbot, a space invasion thing that I left off in the discussion here, as Copernicus Dusk goes and buys Twitter. I mean, does the space invasion. So, let's start then with Heller. What are you doing? Sorry, by the way, my throat is a little off, so you may hear me hit a weird note here today.
I think I'm gonna go to my AI. And I'm going to see if they can help me figure out how to test if there's any detrimental effects to that there might be any detrimental effects to those, like how would I set up tests or checks on that, or do they have a model that would work for this wide spectrum hearing? I don't have to give like how it's being done, but just that range of the audio that could be piped in and then on which, like how it is being received. And they have access to medical records and things like that, and research and stuff from their company for things. So I'm hoping that that would give me something. So I'm essentially going to an expert, one of my NPCs, to figure things out.
Okay. The end goal is you want to know if there's an issue, right?
Yes, and if I have to put like essentially bounds on how this is being used, like to protect my little sister.
I think that is an assess.
Okay. I'm going to do access. I have, let's see here. I have my NPC. I myself have a wide spectrum ear and things, and I'll essentially, so I can kind of, take the results and go, okay, if I did that here with it. So I have like a working test in some ways.
Yeah. So you can roll with a +1 forward if you mark the ear.
Okay.
And everybody who marked cyber stuff from last time can clear that.
Can clear this stuff. Okay. I can't remember if I did. And I guess I could, so I can actually use it to take advantage, I think.
Oh, you have the thing that allows you to take advantage with that roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I might do that.
And what do you want to roll with?
Oh, let's see here. Fear.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Because it is my little sister. So I'm rolling 3d6 and taking the 2 best and adding 2. So so that's boxcars +2, 14.
Okay. So you have I believe 3 hold because of your other benefit. So under basic moves, you can ask a question, you can reveal a detail, or you can take +4 to acting on the information. Now, you know how this works. If you ask me whether this causes any harm, I'm going to give you an answer.
Yes, I know.
But you can also declare that it does not.
Oh no, I think I will reveal that it does cause harm, but that it's within a certain range. And if it's like essentially there's like there is a particular range, not at the far end, not at the near end, but sort of right in the middle, that is really bad for each person depending on how their inner ear is set up. And that essentially, I think I will take 2+1 forward to essentially setting it so that, and this is for like long use, for how that has to be for calibrating, like kind of coming up with the rules for calibrating for a particular person.
I think then you have the knowledge then based on that you could get an architect if you supplied that information to essentially create the software, which you assume the company that has made these probably has, that you make your own version of that calibrating software. That may be part of why they're not too worried, is because they know about that problem and have already overcome it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I know it now, and I know an architect, don't I? Don't I know an architect? I know an architect.
At this point, you
Let me
might know
see.
too, given what happened last time.
Oh, should I ask the purple guy or the blue guy? I don't know. Okay.
But does that seem fair?
That
And
seems
what do you
fair.
suppose that looks like? What's the montage? If this were a movie or a television show, what do we see on screen of you figuring this out?
Oh, I think that what it is he's in that med bay, and it is literally like a capsule, like it's just a bed and like the monitoring equipment around it. And he's like, it's like he's gone in for his weekly checkup that he has to do because he's in that trial. But then you see that essentially all the screens come up, and it's he and revision, and they're sort of talking through it, and essentially he like has a thing where he sort of plugs his ear in so that she has some control over it and can see how it is. She sort of takes a model of that. She takes a model of like human ear and like a bunch of studies, it's very sort of the thing, and then starts running trials and then hits the blips. And you see kind of both of them like narrowing in on that and trying to find the rules and what seems like when does it kick, and then trying to essentially working that out and understanding what it is that essentially at a certain set of frequencies it actually starts to like take apart the bones that, or the material in your ear that holds the eardrum in place.
Okay. Ooh.
So yeah. So it just starts to make them just, it's a jelly. So
Okay. All right. So I think we get that scene and those results. Marley, what do we want to see you doing right now?
Let's see.
And the timeline is a little vague here, so it can be
Okay.
flashing back or flashing forward. We can kind of do that, but I want to give everybody a chance to have a scene they call.
Okay. Trying to remember what I did not last time.
Didn't you visit like people from
I did,
yeah.
yes. And I didn't follow up on the information I got, so I think that's what I'm going to do now.
So is this you like trying to track down this demise person?
Yep.
Okay. What do you think
so
that
well
looks
last time.
like? Yeah. Are you going solo again?
Yeah, I think so. Because that went so well last time.
Exactly. So I think this is Lift the Veil.
Okay.
Do you want to mark anything to do this, or
I mean, I think if I get close, I might. But I'll mark my cyber ear.
okay.
Which is no longer a wide frequency, but is scanning and recording. So
Nice. All right, and what do you want to roll that with?
Yeah, that's a good question. Am I okay? Peace, joy, and power can all just go out the window. I know it's none of those. uh, mad, sad, or fear. I think after that conversation, it might be sad.
Okay, yeah. So roll with a +3.
Cool. It might help if I had the roller open. What?
A 0.
How did that happen even? Okay. I mean, okay, so 2d6 is clearly not 0.
Oh, you have a space between the 2 and the D6.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually clicked on the. I'm gonna put it up here. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Let me click on that. See if maybe the syntax. No, it's.
Yeah. Now it works.
Okay, let me restart it, or let me refresh
Okay.
this page. Okay. Wait. No, okay, it did roll that time.
That time. So
No, it didn't. Never mind. That wasn't mine. That wasn't mine. That's
That's
riddle.
Oh yeah, that was me trying to see if it worked.
Right. Okay.
Are you putting in
What
the
is
syntax
up?
or are you hitting the button?
I've done both.
That's
2d6
so
plus
weird.
3 at the top. Okay, let me try this again on the just by hitting the buttons. Nope.
Wow.
Okay, wait.
I had this happen with somebody in one of the other games.
Hold on. It might be the ad blocker or something. Okay. Nope.
That is wild.
That's
Okay.
insane.
It's never done that before.
It happened in a game. I can't remember which one I played just in the last few days, but like for only once. And then it went away. So who would you like to have roll for? Do you have physical dice?
Yes, you know what?
Oh,
I totally
there
do.
you go.
They're here.
I say that in the most offensive way. Like, are you a real gamer?
Well, I had a big stack of D10s, but now I also have D6s. Okay, so 9.
Total with the +3?
Yes.
Okay. So you will like have to kind of track around your following signs, both the signs and sort of details of your background, things like that. And I think that eventually you will know that this guy uh, uh, at regular intervals goes and uh, uh, goes to a gambling arcade, one of these arcades that's half video game, half poker, half laser pachinko kind of machines. Like
Okay.
that's clearly where he spends a good deal of money and time. And you can literally track him to that spot. Do you go by yourself? Are you just observing
Yeah.
this time, or are you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just sort of lurk around in there and uh I just observe, I think, at first and try to figure out what is up with this guy.
What do you think is the tell that marks him out for you? Is it something about both of you having this connection, or with the some other kind of homeland? Is it about something about the rot, or is it something about that you can tell he's kind of from the same culture that you come from? What do you think that is?
It's a couple things. First, I think like there is just rust sort of staining his sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
Which anybody who works with a lot of iron that gets wet, which is probably pretty common here,
Mm-hmm.
might have that. But like it looks like the rust that forms from the the iron oxidizing bacteria in water, that kind of rust. So I think I noticed that first, and then he also has a necklace made of just like bits of junk strung together, which I remember like everybody in my community when I was a kid, like all the kids would make those and like trade them. They were like friendship bracelets.
Yeah. And you can see that they clearly have, it's unclear to you when you look at them whether they have a skin condition or whether it's old injuries or whether they've scarred themselves. But they look rough. They look super rough. And they are sitting there sort of in intent with whatever virtual tokens they've got in some kind of virtual basket that they're putting in, and then doing it in that kind of robotic, their face is just illuminated by the machine flickering, kind of absolute compulsion.
Huh. Okay. Some moves here.
I have put a picture in.
Okay. Cool. That's not yeah, I want to use imbue on the machine. He should.
Okay. I think that's a great idea. I'm excited
It's
to
a
be part of
terrible
this
idea.
plan.
It really is just an endless source of terrible ideas.
So what is it that you're aiming to do here with the imbue?
Okay. Change how it's powered. Change it. I was gonna make it suddenly like he was just suddenly going to win. I'm not sure if that actually counts as any of these things, these options, though.
Oh, it's to change how it works.
That's true. That's true. And if I get a 10 plus, it might also sprout and start growing.
Okay. So spend an essence, and what do you want to roll that with?
Yeah. I think it's got to be fear.
Okay.
I'm doing this. I know it's not a great idea, but I don't really have any other ideas. And the thing is, I'm gonna do something, and if it's a bad idea, if a bad idea is all I have, I'm gonna use it.
Fair enough.
What's fear? Oh, good. 7.
7. So you spend that, and you have 1 hold.
Cool. Yeah. On like the next, I don't know what round button he pushes, whatever, he's gonna win.
Okay. And we'll hit big. And the thing that strikes you is there's no like reaction of joy on their face. They just kind of nod, and they catch it in another basket. These baskets are like bottomless, so regardless of how much go in, they have to put them there to catch this thing. And you can tell that whatever you've done there is like they haven't noticed it, and maybe it's something that is not in their wheelhouse even.
That's unexpected. Okay. All right. Do I want to? I mean, I'm going to have to talk to this person at some point.
Okay. Shall I cut away and come back to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's do that. What are you up to, Riddle?
So I was thinking if Roxo is going to be a person now, and I want to work with them on the design for my new suit, and who knows, whatever else may come out of that, then I need to set them up with some things like somewhere to work / live and something in the way of identity presence in the Veil and the world. And I luckily have some creds sitting around. So this be like is there an Emporium type move still, or whatever it is?
So let me look. This is one of the moves I think we may have. Yeah, we do have a move. We just haven't decided on what the miss condition is, if it's anything specific, but we do have an Emporium move there. Try a little link on the other moves.
Gotcha. So, how much do I expect that sort of thing would cost?
I think if you want housing for a good time, set up so that they have that covered, would be a cred. But if you're just looking to get identity stuff that has some solid, tangible, real world stuff rather than just being some messing with the veil, I think that's a cred.
Okay. And I want some like extra capability in the logic. I want to set up sort of like a workroom, a Veil architecture sort of workspace.
Oh yeah,
in their living quarters.
Help them get access to the veil to deep parts to work with. Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us. I mean, how can I design with them if we're just like working off their couch and the Wi-Fi?
So that'd be another cred. So that's 3 cred.
Okay.
Why don't you make that Emporium roll though? Because I do think you're looking at some shady and less accessible stuff, perhaps. So
I'm just looking at because I am spiked out right now, and I had said to myself that I want to do the work off with a -2 somewhere, but I really do want to get this set up, so I may do that on my second roll.
So you're gonna roll with a 0?
Yeah, I'm gonna alleviate normally.
Okay.
That's a 0. Yeah, 0.
Yep.
Do
you want to mark anything?
Power.
I guess I mean your cybernetics.
Yes. I would like to. I'm just trying to. Yeah, I've got my backup simulation, so I think I can save some costs there by setting up a few things myself, but also that I know connections through having set that up initially that'll help me with that sort of thing.
Sure. Roll with a +1.
Yeah. You guys, one of them do a thing. Ooh, that's a 10.
Super
That plus
disappoints.
one.
Super disappoints me when you don't fail on these roles. They're just just an
Oh, I'm
open
so
opportunity for me.
sorry.
So with Emporium on that, you get to pick some stuff off of there. Choose 3. The last one might be appropriate. The last one is if you were calling in like on a job and you wanted somebody to deliver like a gun to you like right now.
I see. Then yeah, I'll leave that one off, and it'll cost what I expect. They have it right now, and they have the real deal rather than a knockoff. And I think I'd like to apply that one to the identity
Okay.
that I set up for them.
Yeah, they can get you. They say, yeah, we've got we dredged up a body out of the canal. We got the stuff from it. We cleaned up the ID, and we can pass that on to you, no problem. We've already disposed of the body, so there's no gene lock tracing on it. It'll be easy enough.
That's efficient.
Yeah,
handy.
we're all about recycling.
I like supporting a green business.
Oh yeah, we're a green business. We put a lot of things in the ground.
It's I feel like I should be less incriminated.
Oh, look, A, you keep your hands clean. B, we didn't do anything. We just have little birds that are watching for things that happen.
Just you and your garden birds.
Yeah. We've got a whole network of irregulars that are down in the mud flats and stuff, keeping an eye out for this. It's how they make their living.
Huh. Wonder if I know any of them.
You probably do.
Thinking about Marley's brother.
So yeah, you can get that set up. Let's come to Gabriel.
Yes. I'm thinking I probably should go and have my dinner.
Okay. Do you want to do a quick resolution roll on getting the body out of the corpse first?
Yeah, I suppose
Okay.
we could do that real quick.
Yeah.
What do we think?
I think this is probably a sway just to talk to somebody to get them to do this for you.
Okay. All right. I don't want to roll badly, but I don't know if I should go in with power.
Do you have some cybernetics that you have that's appropriate?
Let's see. And maybe my interface, being able to get someone and quietly handle this. It's encrypting and intercepting.
Yeah.
That's probably a good choice. Okay. I think that we'll go with fear.
Okay.
Because I'm worried about this a bit. And let's roll. Come on, roll well. That's a 6.
That is a 6. So I think that to do this, you need to add another tick to your debt clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this, like, we see a little montage of you getting the body that's going on, and then somebody tells somebody, and then somebody tells somebody, and then we see Claudio picking up the phone. Really? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you always keeping me informed of my family's activities.
Shit.
But you get it,
Alrighty.
and you can, per your agreement, have it delivered.
Okay.
And we'll come back to paying off on that. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, let's cut to dinner now. You are taking, I believe, with you.
I thought about taking Temple, but I want to make a good impression on her. This would be like going to the lion's den. It probably is just mean to bring her into this. I might would ask and see if Gwen wants to go.
Died of Nailton, Gabriel's hated rival. But wait, but Gwen's already at the dinner.
Is she?
Yeah, and that's the whole point. It's
okay.
a family dinner.
Oh, good then. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
then swell. No, then I definitely don't want Temple to get involved in all of that. No.
Okay.
Oh, that would be so mean to her. She's a nice girl.
So you will go. Where do your parents, your mother and Claudio, where do they live?
I think that they actually have a house rather than in high rise or anything. It's a house with a very small yard, but having any yard is extravagant, and it's built of stone. It is an old fashioned looking small mansion, but it's still a mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was my father's house, and Claudia's just moved in with Mom.
Yeah, and that kind of super high end, high security. I mean, it looks like something from the 20th century, but then we kind of pull back and we see all of the automations and security teams and things like that. Your car will arrive. What is it that you've chosen to bring as your kind of gift to your mother here?
I definitely brought a nice bottle of wine, but I think for Mother, I've brought. There are hothouse flowers that are real flowers. They are not in any way veil enhanced. Though they are probably bioengineered so that they give off a little bit of a luminescence and smell very pretty. But they're real physical flowers.
You're greeted by a servant at the door, not your usual staff servant. And I think one of the things you'll notice as you go around, it looks like there's been some staff overturn. Like the family household staff has been sacked and replaced.
I will be fuming internally, but not showing it at all.
And your mother is there. She's so glad to see you. And she kind of looks and she goes, "You said you were bringing someone."
Well, I decided that since it was just family, why bring someone else when we can have this lovely opportunity to, reconnect just us. And Mother, I tell you, you seem to get younger every day.
You maintain your poise and grace and your ability to lie magnificently.
It is a family trait.
And you will be taken in, and you will see that you come in. There's clearly a couple of guests, like other highly placed corporal people there, and your father, your uncle, Claudio, we'll just say Claudio from now on, is there. And you see Gwen is there, and you can see that there is a 6'5", broad-shouldered, gene-modded, sculpted guy that she has with her. And there's a moment when she kind of looks over, and you see her kind of lean to look, like she was clearly told that you were bringing someone, and now you don't have anybody with you.
Good. She can have the sacrificial lamb out there. The Judas goat for dinner.
Claudio will come over to where you're at, Gabriel.
Ah, Peter, how very nice to see you.
It is. I still find it hard to call you son, but son, it is very good to have you here. Your mother.
You're looking well.
Well, I appreciate that. Your mother is very pleased that you agreed to come, that you could take time out of your busy schedule.
I deeply regret that I don't get a chance to see her more, but as we both know, the corporation can be quite the taskmaster.
Yes, it can be. Yes, I certainly know that. And he kind of narrows his lips, since he's pretty certain that you're the one that threw him to the hounds regarding that whole musical stuff. But he's like, well, it's all right. No, it's good to see you.
I brought.
What are you working on now?
Me?
Yes.
Well, honestly, I have something very exciting. Might be even revolutionary. I've found several very talented musicians, singer, and we are delving into a totally different sound. I should be able to present it hopefully very soon.
There's some people are very good at developing talent.
Yes, I've
You've always been very hands-on, so I think that's a good choice for you.
I tend to believe I have a good ear.
And your mother, always sensitive to the least amount of tension in the room, rings the glass and sits you all down, and it becomes clear in the course of the meal and the conversation that this guy is a gene modded MMA sports athlete there. His conversation is less than scintillating.
I will be polite and inquire at things I'm confident he can answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, try to keep him involved and do it in a way that I hope is gratifying to Gwen.
And I think at some point during the dinner, there is a moment where Gwen is kind of talking business stuff, like kind of brought that out. And that's when Claudio kind of leans back and says, "Oh, yes, Gwen, why don't you tell us about this plan for your hotel for dogs there that you've put out there?" And she kind of stops and kind of starts to give the pitch a little bit there, and he stops and he says, "So I've looked at your business model there for this hotel for dogs, and it seems like this really isn't a business. This looks like you've kind of hidden a philanthropical organization below the numbers here." And you see her kind of go pale. it looks like you're trying to set up a animal rescue services here, kind of, but disguising it as a company. Now, of course, that's not true because we don't do that sort of thing in our family. Right? What do you do, Gabriel? See, he's got Gwen like under this laser. She's kind of shrinking in her chair.
I will say that when Gwen came to me with the idea, I saw the potential in, well, most owners of dogs, they're willing to spend extravagant amounts. This could be tremendously profitable. And if there is perhaps some undercurrent of finding unowned dogs and providing a place for them, well, in the end, those can be let back out into new owners. It generates goodwill, a home, a way for home for these animals. The owners will remember us, and I could see it. Well, I could see it being tremendously profitable. Hell, I've even heard some people leave their animals, their assets in their wills. We could even set up something where we provided administrative service for those types of things. Get rid of the customer altogether. Just make money off of wealthy animals.
Let's have you roll divert.
All right. I think I'm mad on this one.
Okay.
I hate him, and him going after her even pisses me off more. So, I don't add one to peace. I just add one to bad. All right. So, dice will almost certainly screw me, but let's see how it goes. Well, that's a 9. It could have been worse.
Okay. So you want to essentially let her slip away from this, right? Get out from under this, right?
Yeah, I want her to slip away and maybe even create an opportunity for her.
Okay. That essentially, I think there are some other people at the table who lean in and suddenly you're talking a business possibility and they start getting interested in it, and you can see that Claudio is not happy about this. I think the thing you will realize though is that when she told you about this, like she gave you this like the cell line, she didn't mention anything about this other part of it.
She certainly didn't. And as people are talking, I'm going to make a point to catch her eye and lift a little bit of an eyebrow, just very subtly towards her, and then kind of fall back into the conversation, steering it towards how foolish people spend tons of money on their animals.
May I have you roll inner conflict?
Yes, because she didn't trust me.
Exactly. That's that moment that you realize that she didn't trust you enough to tell you about this.
Mm-hmm.
That she maybe assumed you were just like her father.
Oh, God! Oh, twist that. I guess I'm sad. That's a -1. All right.
That's still a 7.
No, that was me rolling. I haven't rolled again. Yeah, now it's a 5.
So I do think that there is a moment when you look up. First of all, add another spike to sad.
Despite the sad.
And I think that you look up at that and you realize that your mother is watching this. And you see that her eyes have narrowed. And you can see that she has read that dynamic.
Between Gwen and I?
Yeah. And she does not look happy.
Yeah, like she gets the right to talk about relationships.
Does that seem like a good place to end that scene on?
Absolutely. Does interconflict give an XP?
No, it does not.
No, it does not. Oh, okay.
Let's take our first break here. Let's take our 10, and we will come back and kind of bring folks together, crossroads. So I think we've decided on this sort of shared apartment living space as kind of a meeting point where you have Heller's sister set up, and it's kind of become a crossroads. So let's kind of cut to maybe a later that evening after people have done things and arriving there, because it's a reasonable place to crash before you head home or crash here. And I like to imagine that that the others are there when you come in after this meal, Tyler, with whatever passes for a cyber necktie kind of loosened and maybe an irritated look on your face.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
We still cheer when you come in, though. So.
Oh. I think that I've got in my hand a very expensive bottle of probably a scotch that I snagged off the bar before I left. Would anyone like a drink?
Can you put soda in it?
You can, but you probably shouldn't.
Nah.
How has everyone's evening gone? I have been at the lowest level of hell, which is called the family dinner.
Oh, how is the family? Warm, I'd assume.
Well, they are filled with as much hate and bile as usual. So, I suppose they're doing quite well. There was a lovely gentleman there, however, who spends his professional days beating the hell out of people. He was just fascinating if you like monosyllabic diatribes.
So it's like a bodyguard or something?
A fighter, a pugilist.
What kind of fighter?
Like for money, not.
Prize. Yes.
Professional or just amateur?
A professional.
What was his name?
Oh, Cliff or Strong Guy or
Wait,
something like
Cliff?
that.
Wait, Cliff Strontium? And I sort of like, and I call this thing up. I'm like, seriously, this guy? And I bring up this bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's huge.
Yes, he is.
No. I mean, he's super popular. If I sort of stop and say, I mean, if you just get him to say a few words on something, people will flock to whatever it is.
Well, I understand that because he could not manage to string together more. He was accompanying my stepsister.
Ah, a walking, talking parental aneurysm.
Perhaps. However, she very strangely caused more of a disruption by she's making an animal shelter of sorts. She's rescuing dogs. Oh, the family was quite irate.
Do they have a bad history with dogs?
Well, there's just no money in it.
That's, I mean, do people generally expect money out of dogs? Have I missed economic developments that much?
Oh, I assure you, the entire pet industry is a massive gold mine.
Well, I suppose in an
Dogs?
indirect way.
I guess.
But it was a shock to everyone, and then I shan't bore you about my dinner.
I don't know, nothing about that sounded boring. Dogs and like an MMA fighter, that's pretty cool.
I perhaps can arrange an introduction sometime if you'd like.
Oh,
As
that'd
I
be
say,
great. I like look at my sister. Like, that'd be great.
it's despite his lack of sterling conversation, he was the highlight of my evening.
Oh, see, it's good to make friends like that. All right. Oh, hey, I went and I did some tests, and there is some modifications we want to make to the headsets for everyone who's wearing them with this wider spectrum. I came up with the patterning, and I sort of I will look at Riddle Blue, and I will say, I might need your help though, just to write something that, software can like analyze for each person what that range is and alter the device for it. Let me get you the specs.
That's sort of perfect, because I was wanting to see where you were with that whole project. I think it actually could help me with what I'm working on with my suit.
Oh, really? Cool.
Well, it's an extreme shift to the brain, and if I can map out how it changes my brain and how it changes the cyber brain, I thought maybe I could sort of extrapolate that to other senses.
Yeah, my thing is that I'm thinking that there's like sort of weak spots for like, your brain, the other brain, one person's ear, a different person's ear. And so like if you have a thing where you know the range where it falls and you do sort of a repeat there, it means even if they can't catch that particular part that they can't see, as long as there's a repeating pattern through that whole range where it could happen, they still get all the information. So here, let me draw you a picture. And essentially he'll bring his pad over and he's like doing all of these like, spec ranges for audio and stuff like that, and going like, it looks like for humans, the whole range is just right in here. It's like a really weird little in the middle range, not the highest, not the lowest, but it can like just turn your ear to jelly.
Oh.
Huh.
For time,
I'm like
over time.
listening and looking over his shoulder, and then at the turn to jelly, I'm like, yeah, okay.
If you devoted some of the design space to a VI assistant to run like hearing assessment protocols, it could set up custom modulations for each user so that it would work around their own particular strengths and weaknesses in their range, and say not explode their particular ears or brains or heads.
Exactly. And it would also make the fuller range of the music accessible to even people who have hearing losses of some sort. So it could be pretty cool. Yes.
I'll pour a hefty drink and slide it over to Marley as we're listening.
I'm just sitting there like, this is the thing that I had for a while, right?
Yeah. It was amazing that it didn't turn to jelly. But there probably weren't a lot of sounds in this range that you were hearing.
But I mean, you said, okay, it's just ear that turns to jelly. It doesn't do anything to your brain?
Well, it's sort of the neurons connecting the ear to the brain. So a bit, but also not.
Okay.
Can have that looked at.
No, I don't. No, just the things that I can suddenly do. maybe this had something to do with it.
And we all stop. We go, ooh,
Hmm.
superpowers.
Well, you know, the how real I got here from the
Mhm.
hospital, that's part of it. And
So you're saying some sort of like targeted cerebral jellification, but to a positive
Yeah.
end.
yeah. But
Oh,
apparently these are
interesting.
things that some people from the swamps can do. We call them weirdlings. They're all, I mean, they're all a little crazy. And I thought, I mean, I think am I one? Am I becoming one? I don't know. But
so you think
Like
maybe they
nerds.
have
Just from
like
this.
some rot in their brain or something that's causing
maybe,
that?
maybe. I
Oh.
mean, maybe it's the same thing. I don't know.
Did they all have these prototype ears?
No, none of them do. They don't even have like they don't have anything. I mean, until they come here and then some of them get it, but
Wait, is your theory that you could hear so well that it lets you move through space and time in abnormal
No,
ways?
no,
'Cause
no.
that's a little weird.
well, maybe. Damn, no, it
That's a
wasn't.
long way around.
It wasn't, but now I mean, that makes as much sense as anything.
I don't know. If I was going to make a movie about that superpower, I wouldn't have it work that way.
I feel like,
I-
statistically speaking, I might start with environmental factors first.
We could certainly arrange for an examination if you would like, Marley, to make sure
I mean, I just want to
is
know how to
nothing
use it, and I want to
unusual.
know if it's gonna keep changing, and you know, now the whole Delhi thing's got me a little concerned. But I mean, I don't
Deli thing.
jelly. The
Oh,
jelly
I thought you
thing.
said deli. I was kind of hungry. So,
Um,
I drink the scotch. Okay, yeah, that's I have more things to think about.
Well, Marley, if it seems as though your people are predisposed to it, then perhaps there is something genetic or environmental that maybe this did cause some alteration. There are tremendous studies on oral modifications that can occur.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would do about it if I knew. It's
maybe there's something
It's
that's
just that there's-
swamp that like makes, that like uses this range of frequencies, like alligators or something.
Oh, the alligators.
If
do you
If
think
you
there
wanna-
might be more of the original, the cyber ear out there?
There could be. I mean, if one got loose, they weren't holding them as tight as they might have. So yeah, there could have been a couple out in the field.
I mean, I guess what are the chances of another person from the same place getting it? But no, there's somebody out there who can do some of the same things. So
But like some guy put this in you, like he had those like scrap, didn't he? I mean, maybe if someone came in and they had a hearing problem too, they got it from the same guy.
I mean, hearing problems are pretty common. I don't know if that might be genetic too. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's and it's just there's so there's a person who does at least some of the same things. Not as far as I know the traveling through space thing, but maybe. And they have, I mean, they're also from the swamp. I didn't get a look at their ear. But they used it to kill people, which is a little disturbing.
Oh,
oh,
oh.
Like kill people how?
dysentery.
No. Do you have a piece of scrap tech stuff that
No.
hub. I have a cheap data pad probably.
Oh, that's perfect. It doesn't need to be anything complicated, just like some sort of electronic thing. It's all.
I'll pass it across.
Okay,
Yeah,
my eyes will
okay.
water a little when I see it go past.
Yeah, yep. Let's see. Well, I was gonna decay it, but a data pad like that has, I don't know, some other weird function is more interesting, I think. So I go from, well, I was gonna just make this thing turn into a pile of rust, but
I look at you like
this is more interesting.
Wait, what?
I would like to use Imbue on it.
Okay, let's have you roll.
All right. Let's see. I think this is the first time I'm going to mark peace because like this is I'm just showing people what I could do. I trust them, and like I'm not. Nobody is currently trying to kill me.
As far as you know, yeah.
Also, also I'm slightly drunk, which helps. But that's a -1, so we'll see about the trying to kill me part.
Sherry, would you like to spend your hold to help Marley?
Sure, I would happily do that.
Since you have that sitting around, I believe.
I have some hold to help you. So make that +0 anyway, right?
Well, it'll give
Okay.
you'll roll it with advantage.
Oh,
Oh,
awesome.
okay. Find another guy here because I tried that. I tried both rooms again after restarting the browser, and it still don't
So
work.
weird.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
That is a 7. Thank you for the help.
So you get to pick
Yeah.
one of those things. What is it you want?
Well, that is a good question. What do I want to do with this thing? I'm sitting here slightly drunk, I think.
A fine condition.
I think because I'm slightly drunk, I think it sprouts and starts growing.
So let me ask you this. Tell me what that looks like. Are we seeing like plant life crack out from inside of it? Or are we seeing the plastic and metal change into something organic and start to grow, or something else? Like what do we actually see happen there?
At first, the plastic and metal starts to grow. It doesn't change what substance it is. It just like it starts to spread out like roots and then start to like sink into the table. And then like as as the plastic sort of comes up and out and the roots go down, then you see it start like a couple inches from where it was. Then it starts to turn into what looks like something organic, and then it starts sprouting leaves. And there's like it looks like a weird bonsai tree with a plastic trunk by the time it's done.
Remarkable.
Wow. Wait. Can you still get time and temperature on it? And
Ask it. I don't know.
As it grows out, do the edges of it go fully to natural colors and textures, or is there still?
Yeah, I think by the
weirdness?
end, I think like the leaves at the ends of the branches are just leaves, and the ones in the middle look like they're plastic leaves or wax or something. And the closer you get to the trunk, the more plasticky it is.
Interesting.
And you were not able to do this before the
I've
ear.
never actually done this before, but no, I definitely couldn't do it before that. I couldn't do any of these things until I came here. And I got my interface. I can never remember what that thing is called.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that lets me see the veil.
It's not Cyberbrain. It's
not a cyberbrain, it's the other thing.
it's your plus.
Neurochip.
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 Your neuro.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, is
do
your
it even until I got my
neurochip
neurochip.
like this inside of you?
Like a tree?
Yeah. Has it like?
Not that I know of. I think it would have hurt.
Have
And
you
I would have
looked at
noticed
it?
maybe. I mean, no. No, I.
Can I look at her neurochip, Lou? At their neurochip?
Sure.
Okay.
Tell me, Marley, how is your neurochip different? Like, how has it changed since it was put in your head? How are these powers and these things that you could do? How has it changed the neurochip?
Um, so I think it started out, it was actually a used one that had been like somebody had gotten theirs upgraded. And it's a very common model that Heller would be completely familiar with. It was like, the Toyota Corolla of neurochips, but like the 1994 Toyota Corolla of neurochips. So it's old now.
A classic of
Like it was
dependability.
probably, yeah. um, but like it is obviously changed in that kind of is like a tree in that like the wires inside have grown longer and like protruded from it and have like grown until they connect with my nerves.
Yeah, yep. So you actually had done this before, but you did it in your own head, just so you know. Not that I'm judging, I just don't know what's going on here.
um how I would have thought I would feel that, but I guess not.
Oh, I wonder if that's why this thing was giving you problems with your hearing. Is like you were trying to change it, but it was like not as tied in closely to you as the neurochip was. Because it was
Oh,
pretty much
maybe.
just sitting in your ear, right? So
So that interfered with it. Yeah, so this other person had I don't know if they have this same thing. I don't know if they have a cyber ear. I know they can decay things and kill people with it. And they know I exist. So that's
they-
great.
did they
Yeah.
try to kill you?
No. No, not yet. In fact, I tracked them down. I saw them. And I thought about talking to them, but they kill people with their powers, so
Where were they?
it's a gambling casino, and I like
Oh,
the name of the place.
There's
and this was someone that you feel was from your own homeland.
I talked to somebody who knew them, recognized them, and yeah, I mean they definitely they look at their.
Marley, I don't want to. I don't want to unduly frighten you, but the abilities that you are manifesting would be very valuable to people.
Yep.
You are my friend, therefore, I would recommend keeping this as quiet as possible. I admit that I am entirely tempted to go at some extreme to find out how this is done. It would be, oh my, what a massively
I
profitable monetization it would be. But
So wait, can you decay people? Like, not asking for a demonstration.
I haven't tried. Probably.
you can decay stuff. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's
you could
easy.
decay the stuff in me. And that would pretty much
I
just-
could. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think like I know to keep the secret. I wouldn't be saying any of this if you all hadn't already seen me and Marley walk out of empty space. But you have. So I don't know how this makes anything worse. So I
So
might as well
this-
trust you.
This other person, do you want to reach out to them? Do you want to avoid them? Do you think we should do something about them?
I don't know. I think
And then I'm going to ask another question. Do you think he's killing like for money? Is he being paid to do it, or is he just doing it for funsies?
he's being paid to do it. That's the impression I got from the people I talked to. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know. I'm not sure if we should do anything about it. I don't know who he's killing and why, other than that, like, I think they're being hired to do it, but I don't know, like, by who and why, and maybe, maybe it's none of my business.
Well, I don't know if we can guide you on what's happening with all of that as sort of gesture to the pad bonsai. But finding people, tracking their actions, negotiating with them, that sounds like things we can do.
Well, and last time I went to find them, I got stabbed. Not by them, by people who thought I was them.
If you want help at getting stabbed better, we have proven to be able to help you with that.
You do have a proven track record in that regard.
I mean, you've gotten stabbed rather extravagantly with us.
Yeah, it was not an expertise I wanted to develop, but there you go.
We're all very good at getting stabbed.
And we can also provide you whatever support you need to help you investigate what is happening to you, to develop these talents, if that is what you'd like.
You know what I actually need help with? And this is actually a bigger secret than this.
Wait, there are more?
The reason I came here in the first place, to the city, not this room, I was sent here years ago now to try to stop something that was happening downstream. And I like describe this, this thing that happens every once in a while that seems to be coming from here.
That weird algae bloom type thing?
Algae, sort of chemical, the contamination stuff that is definitely pouring off from the city and destroying the ecosystem downstream.
Like, it's plants, animals are dying, people are getting sick, and then it stops. And things start to improve. And then at some random point, it comes back. And I don't know, there doesn't seem to be a pattern to it. And I don't know the source.
Well, that's probably
If there's anything I need
chemical
help with
flush.
finding, it's the source of this thing.
That would mean something in development, a toxin more than likely, a runoff. When it builds up sufficiently, they will do a dump. I hate to say it, but the culprits are myriad.
Yeah.
And it may not even be a singular one that is causing it.
It's not continuous. So can you
No.
remember when it happened? That may give us some information to figure out who or what was going on then that might have been behind it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I like start making a
Is the swamp
You're gonna list,
calendar
like-
the same as the city calendar?
I mean, it's the same. Like, okay, so there was, the first one was
Let's do
12
lift the
years
veil.
ago, and then
Let's do that. Yeah.
cool.
Do you want
Awesome.
to? Does somebody want to roll with an assist? I think that makes sense here. Like the meeting of the minds.
Is it a roll and assist or is it a use a bond?
You can spend a bond, or you can also, I believe we have it, so you can roll to create a bond to help out.
I have
So
2
it's-
bonds with Marley right now.
There you go.
I think the burn is if Marley has bonds with you, they can
That
burn
what
them
it
to
is?
get it.
If
I
you
think
have
I
a bond
bonds
with somebody,
everyone.
if you have a bond with
What-
somebody, you can burn it to help them.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then if they need another help, they can burn one with me.
Okay.
Because you roll crazy bad.
I have bonds with everybody, which is good. What am I?
All right. So, are you spending
I
a
have
bond?
spent a bond
That's
to
what you're doing
assist,
now.
yes.
Okay.
And you don't have to spend a bond. Again, you can spend those bonds after they roll.
Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. What is my state here? I think I'm going out on a limb and trusting these people, but it might actually help. And I have been here for years without figuring this out. So I'm gonna go with joy.
Okay.
Ten.
10.
No help needed.
No help needed.
So I think that there is, like, we have the montage of the 4 of you there. Like, you're pulling out the details that you have. Riddle's able to model it. Haller's, doing an analysis. Gabriel, you're looking at it from an economic point of view, and calling in your contacts and kind of putting these things together. And I think the thing that you will realize is that the timing of this corresponds to not every, but a certain set of private reshaping and reconstructions. I've talked about the fact that they move some of the barriers around and they build those up, but that there's a particular corporate consortium that has done some of these movements and reconstructions, and each time they're involved, this happens.
Is this reconstruction of the city physical or like reconstructions of the Veil?
No, it's reconstruction of the physical city.
Gotcha.
And I think the thing that you will get with a 10 is when you look at it, the reconstructions that they're doing are unnecessary.
Huh.
It is very clearly being done to do something, to have something to show, or to cover something up. Does that seem like a fair answer? I'll
Yeah.
also allow you to ask a follow-up.
And before you go into your follow-up, can I ask you a question, Marley?
Yeah.
Marley, this has been going on, it seems, for quite some time. Did your people have any of these powers before this began?
I guess that how long ago did it start? Well,
The dumping has been going on for a while, but within your lifetime.
okay.
And I think that you've definitely heard that there have been weirdlings around from before that.
Okay. No, it doesn't seem to be responsible for that. People get sick, but they don't get any advantages from it.
Oh,
So did you give us the company name and I missed it?
Aegis Alliance.
Okay.
Aegis. Can't ever trust anyone named Aegis.
I guess my question is this the same consortium that was responsible for flooding that lab?
No.
Okay.
That's sort of a surprise.
The name sounded familiar, but I was
Okay,
like,
no.
okay.
Hmm. Any ties to a dusk at all?
Mm.
We know
This
he
feels
wants to
like
precipitate
perhaps
thing.
Gabriel's bailiwick for lifting the veil.
All right, I can start dipping into a little bit of what Aegis is about. I think this does sound like my sort of thing, so I'm going with power here. All right, and I don't know if my ear's helpful in this. All right, rolling. That's a 9. Anybody feel like helping push that?
I asked the question, so I'll help you.
Spend that. If you have a bond with Gabriel, you can spend that to bump that to a 10.
I think I do. Let me see.
If you don't, I
Yeah.
do.
Oh, I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, maybe I give you some useful details because I do
Mhm.
have.
Aegis Alliance is very hard to ferret out, Gabriel. It takes some real digging. I think this is where Marley and Riddle and all of you are kind of digging through shells of things. You eventually have to kind of really bank in through your corporate contacts, through your guild contacts. And what will become clear is that Aegis Alliance is a hyper guild. It is made up of representatives from a bunch of different guilds, like a lot of different guilds in the city. Like there is a membership, but like there's no corporate work plan, there's no profit statement, there's nothing like that. This is a black ops project engineered for some purpose by a consortium of these of guilds.
Let's see if I get a follow-up. Looking at the guilds that seem to be involved, can I see what their sort of bailiwick is? What would be those guilds coming together, the sort of things they would do?
I'm going to give you the answer, and I want you to imagine that there's an abstraction that you have to go through to come to this realization.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know exactly how to put this, but I do think it is like the kinds of guilds, like what they provide, what they're invested in, what's important to them. And I think you will realize that these are the guilds that want to make sure the city remains powerful and significant and has control. And it looks like they are doing this to reduce the population downstream from time to time and to disrupt. I mean, you can kind of chart it, but to migration patterns and people arriving and changes in stuff and population growth, and they seem to be tracking that. And if if there's a significant like pulling together of power or villages getting together or any of that, like that's that whole system, because they control a lot of the resource flow. If it push came to shove, there's a lot of dependencies that the city has that if those people downstream got together, they could cause massive disruptions up here.
And I think it's that, as I'm plotting this and I'm asking Marley's input, and there'll be that sort of, Marley, I'm very sorry. This would appear you can't have populations get out of size. It would be a threat to the city. This is culling the herd.
Deliberate?
I'm afraid so. Its purpose is its result.
What should we do?
I know what I'm gonna do.
I think we should get a bunch of alligators and leave them in their bed.
I mean, that's a possibility. It's a.
I feel
was
like
thinking-
that plan relies on a lot of alligator wrangling skills that I'm not sure we currently possess.
We are also talking about the most powerful, most capable, and worse, faceless structures of this city. There's no bed to put an alligator in because we don't know the person who lies there. It's above my pay grade. It's above the pay grade of the people that pay me to know who are making these decisions. The mere fact that we have stumbled upon this, well, if it were to get out, we would all be dead very shortly.
Yeah.
We gotta do something to help your family, right?
I'll figure something else. We don't all need to be dead.
No, Marley. Like I say, I am very sorry, and I will help you however I can. This is wrong. But we must have some practical view here. It is hard to generate popular support. It is hard to make people realize and believe something like this is happening. This would be something that has to grow. Because I do not believe there is not a single neck we can cut.
Right.
I think that's the moment that kind of, you're in the apartment all there, and of course there are other people that are present, and in particular your sister is there, whose name is
Cartesian temple.
yeah, I think she will say, we could do a song.
Protest songs do chart well.
Exactly. And if we've got it in with subliminals, we're going to take our break here, We're going to come back to a little bit more because my throat is starting to go, but I do want to do a little bit more and do our stars and wishes. Is that okay?
Cool.
I just had to take a bio. So do we want to continue that particular conversation? Do we want to do a once around? How would you like to proceed from here? It seems like logically we have on the table. We've still got the demise person and what there's about, but now we've got okay, needing to find out things about this Aegis, finding hard evidence, all of that kind of thing to be able to work towards that seems to be on the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you guys want to proceed? Let's take a moment here since we've done a lot of high level stuff. Let's take a moment to actually pull back a little bit. We'll leave those agenda items on the table, but let's check in on the rest of your lives here briefly. Just do a once around. We can see some of who you are outside of this. So Heller, we start with you. What do we want to see? I mean, if you want to do a scavenge, we can do that. But also, if you want to do a scene with a PC or a new NPC or something, we can set that up. But what haven't we seen about Heller that is part of their life?
I think the thing that you haven't seen is sort of like that thing of when he wakes up in the morning and he, gets up to kind of clean up and everything. And you see him go through a set of tests. Like he checks his gums and he pulls his eyes down and all of that stuff. And then there's the thing of, he'll pull like his sleeve up and then he'll see what's starting to go wrong. Does that make any sense? Like whatever this disease is that he has, what it is starting to take away from it. And it's like he's always looking, because as soon as he like takes out that part that's affecting one part of him, it sort of seems to like just switch its energy and go to some other place. And so you'll see him like when he gets up in the morning, he's checking his eyes, and he sort of like puts his hands down, and you see him kind of start to wring his hands, and then you see his thumb goes back like way too far, and he's like, and the thing is his sister has come up sort of right behind him, and she goes, "Oh, what are you going to do about that?" And it's just that thing of like, she knows what's going on. And he goes, I'll go look for something. Because it might look kind of rough for a while, but have the
She's like, let me
functionality.
get you a glove or something to put on that to hold it in place, like a compression glove.
Thanks.
And so what is it like? How do you figure out, how do you choose the places that you go to hunt down the scrap?
So a lot of times you try to think of what kind of functionality you're going to need, right? So it's probably going to go to places where there are different kinds of like plants or like industries that have things that kind of have that sort of more articulated grabbing things, that he can find the pieces just to get the sort of joints and stuff, because like while he can do electronics and stuff, it's actually the shape of the materials that's harder for him to manufacture. So he needs to find things that have the structure and shape that he needs. He can add a lot of the electrical or the control mechanisms and those things to it, but it's things like, if something's for him, ideally things are made out of safe steel or super strong plastics and stuff that are intended for being inside, but a lot of times they're not. And then he has to go figure out how to coat them and things like that. So just, so he'd be looking in industrial area for something to
Okay.
replace a hand.
Then let's have you make that roll.
Mhm. So industrial areas are weird because there's always other scrappers. And a lot of times they don't have the same needs, but sometimes you get someone who is sweeping up the stuff you need just when you both find it. So I'm gonna say, let's see here, this is my scrounge, my junkware. No, it's a scrounge one. So I go somewhere, have thing, I search for this to convert into cybernetics. So I think that this is probably, it's always sad or fear. It's probably fear.
Okay.
When you start losing your hand, which you use for a lot of things is pretty nasty. So I'll mark that, take another point out of power. Okay, and then make that roll. So I'm adding 2 to the roll. So 2d6, and I'm going to add 2. That's a 6. Oh, but I have my Omni tool.
Yep.
So I can use that to help. So that gives me a +1 forward on a scrounge thing.
Yeah.
So it's actually a
So you have a
7, just
choice.
barely.
You can get 1 scrap or you can get 2 scrap at a cost.
I'll get 1 scrap because I have 3 already, and then that'll allow me to make a 2 scrap roll on this, the actual junkware. Okay.
You get some pieces. There are some robotics prosthetics around and bits and things like that that help for some base forms, and then you're having to kind of machine the bits down to fit. The trickiest part is getting the dermal coat so that it matches reasonably close.
Kind of close.
Kind of close.
Okay, so now I'm rolling 2d6 and adding 2.
Yeah.
And that's an 8.
Okay. So you gain 2 hold.
Okay. Let's see here. So I will, let's see here. I think what I'm gonna do is I will take 2 tags to describe it, but because of that, I will suffer a harm.
Okay.
So essentially just, unfortunately, replacing your hand is not an easy thing to do. There's a point at which, even though revision is helping me with that, it is still a traumatic injury. So
Yeah, and I
I
think
will walk out of there with.
I think you're gonna be hanging on to a harm mark for a while here while your arm gets settled in on that.
Exactly. And then I will figure out what I'm going to put on that, but it is. So, because I already have 1 arm, so it'll be the other arm, the hand on that.
And don't forget, you can add additional tags onto an existing cybernetics, but if you have more than 3 or more positive tags, you have to have a negative one.
Yep.
Marley, what about you? You've had some revelations and you've taken some risks.
Yeah, a few here. I think the thing currently on my mind is like, oh, my family back home that I have like been kind of forgetting about, and like they sent me here to do this thing and I have not done this thing, and now I don't even know if I can do this thing, and if I do, it may well get me killed. So I think that is what I'm thinking about, and I walk like out to the first like, big canal I find. There's a
Mhm.
lot of them. This place floods a lot. There's probably a lot of like flood control canals. And like just walk into it until I'm about like chest deep or something. And there's, some kind of pipes going out of it, or going, through, there's always some kind of like water control thing.
Mhm.
And the like the gate is down. And I would like to, just like rest that whole mechanism down because like that is how I nourish my homeland as I destroy
Okay.
things. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna destroy something. Why not?
What do you want to roll nourish with?
Uh, I mean, yeah, guilt is pretty close to sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sad. Uh, and that is. Okay. Oh, it's 11. Cool.
Okay. You get to choose two.
Nice. Okay. I'm down to 1 essence. I'm going to need essence, so I will gain 2 essence and I halt the erosion where it stands or restore what's already gone. I think I want to begin to restore what's already gone. I'm
So
not sure what that looks like.
what is it of the damage that has been done to it that you want to restore? Is it some kind of animal? Is it some kind of fauna? Is it something else?
uh,
Sorry, faunas are animals. Sorry.
right. But yeah, I think that there's like just outside of the village where my family lives, there's like there used to be a marsh, and it's sort of just become, nothing but water.
Hmm.
Uh, and you start to see like things sprouting underwater. And yes, an alligator definitely flies or swims
Yeah.
by because because I think like if it's a movie, you just see like the shadow of an alligator
Okay.
flying by. I keep saying flying by because it's like overhead from the camera. But just a hint that yes, there are alligators lurking out there still.
Yeah, we see that there is kind of a little bit of a time lapse where we see more water grasses and below water vegetation and such starting to blossom and grow in that marshland.
Yep.
And I think you
It
can probably
might be
see
a
that in
little
your own
more
mind's eye.
orange than it
Yeah.
would normally be, but
Yeah.
it is real plants. It's not actually metal.
Yeah. Awesome. Tell me, Riddle, about this space that you have set up with Roxo.
Well, it's obviously purple.
Right.
In deep, multifaceted, and if you stare too hard, mentally unsettling hues. Um, it's it's got to be somewhere in the city that is in an actual like physical hub for Veil processing and sort of network power.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want it to be a sort of like experimental research lab space,
Yeah.
so it needs some resources to draw on.
So yeah, there's probably a real demand for the high volume, high connection areas. So what's the drawback that has allowed you to kind of get into a space that kind of this in demand?
I think it's not quite a lost space, but it's one of those that has become so physically difficult to access because the world just sort of grew grew an area around it, and it's slowly being forgotten. So it's just like it's hard to get to, cut off from the outside world in ways.
Like Heller's living space.
Yeah, like I said, not quite lost. It's still like known to the outside world.
But having to go up a couple of flights and then climb down some
Yeah,
to and go down a ladder to get into this place is probably more inconvenience that people are willing to pay.
yeah, it's hard to access through automatic and digital means. Yeah.
So what is it that you are working on?
So what I have is all of the masses and masses of data that Heller has been working on and tweaking with their work with the headphones.
Okay.
And so I want to take that and figure out how to integrate those audio translating processes into how Riddle's cyberbrain works,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's acting as the perceptual filter rather than physical external headphones or an implanted cybernetic, that it's going through a completely digital process to recode the inputs to his real brain to emulate that expanded perception.
So you want to essentially reconfigure to make your brain into one of these headphones so that you can pick up this stuff without having to have any kind of additional headphones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this sort of step of the process is seeing if I can just hone in on one sense and perfect it in a strange way. Then hopefully I'll be able to learn things that I can like take to the other senses and learn how to alter
Oh yeah,
those.
and I will learn too, says Roxo. You will teach me as well.
We're here to teach each other. That's what
Isn't
research
that what I
is.
said?
I guess it sort of is. This is
Look, what you're talking to yourself as effectively. So I think we're already right.
yeah. Look, it's going to take me some time to get used to. You haven't always been so coherent.
That sounded mean.
It's a best improved award. Yeah, it's sort of backhanded, I suppose. But I mean,
Let's
just
see
having this
you do.
conversation about your feelings and preferences is better than we've gotten before.
Let's see you do your work. Why don't you roll reconfigure for me? He
All
doesn't say
right.
that last part.
um.
So
This
here's the
yeah.
issue thing. There was a moment ago where you were like, the next time I roll, I'm gonna.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was. And I was also thinking about the reconfigure. Describe what changes, what you remove to balance that out. I think I've got to remove the sub processes of the ways that I hear now to start from the ground up to build something new. So it's very much an all or nothing sort of thing.
Okay, I like it. What are you gonna roll
Um,
with though?
I'm I'm going to roll with peace.
Oh, interesting. You're gonna
I
go for
think
the -2 roll.
yeah. I think there's been a lot hanging over Riddle, and despite all of his fears and all of the weirdnesses that it took to get here, like actually interacting and working with Roxo is a very natural and sort of like endorphin releasing process.
All right. Are you gonna mark any cybernetics?
Um Yeah, I've got my network nerve endings.
Perfect.
So there's, surface contact all over his skin, and it's just opening up every bit of his like neural pathways.
I like
Not
I
gonna
like the
go
way you're
bad at all.
describing that. It's making me very excited.
Yeah, it's all great.
So
And should
why
you
don't you go
need
ahead?
help, since you're using my material, I can spend a bond if you need it.
So go ahead
It
and
may
roll with a
well come to that.
-1.
Let's see.
Oh, uncalled for.
It's a very middle of the road 8.
So with that, and reconfigure.
So then I'd pick 2 options.
Yep.
Just to sort of explore that, like, your subconscious stays repressed. What would that look like now that Roxo's already got some form of freedom?
I think it's that you deafen Roxo right now.
Oh, interesting.
Like that, and I think that will freak him out because you take away a whole path of data from him.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the changes not noticed and gain an imagination.
Okay.
So basically, we both suffer feedback.
Okay. Yeah.
Sort of how I'm looking at that.
And yet, and I imagine it is almost like there's a moment where Roxo kind of has to put his hands over your ears to kind of connect, even though it's not physical contact, but you feel the weight of that on you because it simulates that. Until then, it opens your brain up to hearing so much more.
Interesting.
And I think that is pretty wild. Gabriel, your attaches, your contacts, your colleagues are calling in and checking in on you, seeing what's going on, how things are going. Somebody calls you up. They've hit hard from a while. So I heard you got this line on heard from a bird on some sort of canine based profit machine that you've got working.
I admit it's my a dear friend of mine, but yes, she has something I think could be quite interesting. You should
Look. I want in. I want in.
I'll let her know. She's looking for investors who are savvy, and you, my friend, are a savvy investor.
Oh, good. So what do we want to see you doing? What is something maybe we haven't seen before, or some part that you really need to get done? What do you want to see here?
I think what we're seeing is me doing the actual job that I do. It is this kind of montage of me in these like dinner meetings where there's like tons of the synth smoke and good liquor and food, and I'm charming as people are laughing. There's the move to a concert, and as the singer comes off the stage, I'm backstage, and there's the hug and the pat and the, oh, this is going so well. There's the movement around studios as I'm hearing people putting down their new tracks and all. But I think we see in each of them, me like looking down to my data thing to see, have I heard from Heller? Or dropping a line into, checking in, Marley, your brother, you're all right? There's this clear sign that I'm like tagging in with Riddle, keeping up with them despite my job, and probably a little to the detriment of. And
Yeah, I imagine there will be in the moment there is one of those calls that you get from someone who's kind of on your level, who's like, hey, we put off that squash game from blah blah blah. Let's go and do that now. If you get time, I checked your online planner. I see you got a bank. Can you give me an hour?
Sure, of course, yes. Absolutely. It has been too long.
And it's that, half-hour play, competitive in the locker room, and then the sauna, and then the chance to relax. And there is that bit, at the end when he says, "Is everything okay?"
I'll tell you truthfully, I just feel like I have a lot of irons in the fire, and a couple of them, they're the ones that are really sparking my interest. When I started off, it was like just dig, dig, dig. Now I feel like I found a few veins of gold.
Hmm.
And that's all I want to go digging at these days.
So are you in prospector mode? Or are you looking at prospects, or is it something else? Here's the thing, Gabriel. When your productivity takes a 0.5% dip, they give one of us a call, and we come and check in and make sure that everything's okay. That's why I'm here.
And I appreciate that. And I've been fulfilling what I need to fulfill. It's just
Yes, you have, and I'm not disputing that, but the guild notices where you usually are and where you are now.
it's the calm before the storm, my friend.
Like if that's the thing, is if you are setting up for something bigger, that's a whole different matter. And that's what I'll tell them upstairs if you want.
I'm about to bring us something that is going to change it all.
Okay, I'm not going to go overboard because I don't want to overpromise. And
Tell
you don't
them
want to
I've
overpromise. But I'm going to tell them that you've got some hot prospects, and that's taken your energy, and you are looking, a quarter or two down the road. You're looking long term. Because for corporations, like a quarter or two down the road, that's really long term.
I know. And I appreciate you being forthright.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna throw you bullshit. I really feel like I found something here.
Okay. I know you're reliable. I'll go back and tell them that, and tell them there's nothing they need to worry about.
If it doesn't pan out in a quarter or two, it's back to the grind. I'll get those percentages up. My clients are doing all right.
It's not going to be a problem. You're going to get through this. No, I have no doubt in you.
You've always been a straight shooter with me, and I appreciate that.
Just remember that if they ever send you down to talk to me. Okay.
I'll have your back.
And he covers the tab, and he heads out.
And I'll immediately look down at my phone to see if I've heard from any of the others.
Nice. Oh, good cut there. I would like to stop there. We'll take up with some big things on the table next time. We'll talk about the information that you can get as well from Tingzer. So we'll put some things on the table for that. I would like to check in with everybody. Heller, how about the stuff that you did? Did we hit any of the EDQs? I still can't figure out a good name for these things.
I think I'm starting to pull them together. So I did get to spend some time with revision and kind of like that thing, and I just got to get around to figuring out why and how revision thinks that Marley is a failsafe.
Okay.
So it is.
It feels like maybe you've hit like two of three there. Do you feel right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Marley, let's come to you. I think we definitely hit your drive in your question,
Oh yeah.
big time.
Yeah. I don't think we hit the entanglement this time. I I still don't have like an actual conflict for it, but I do have a more solid idea of what Marley's terrible plan for this is.
Okay. So 2 XP.
Yeah.
Patrick, I think we saw you working with Roxo. I think that's
Mhm.
definitely a thing. And I kind of think we're starting to see you make the progress on the next gen suit there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say 2 on that.
All right.
And then Gabriel.
I think I hit all 3.
Oh yeah, most def, all 3. Thank you for letting me do that dinner scene there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was awesome.
I would like to do a quick stars and wishes again. Things you dug, and then things that you want to see more of or less of. Heller.
I am so grateful to Tyler for his snooty Gabriel, and the opportunity to be excited about a dinner guest that he was appalled by, and all of the other things. It's just so rich, and I loved, I mean, absolutely loved Marley's growing the cheap data pad. That was amazing. Such a good move. Like, yeah, like a brain twister for Heller, I think, in a lot of ways. And I think in some ways, probably what he'll be wondering if that's what revision means.
Interesting. Wishes.
Wishes. I don't know. We got so many good things going on. I love the idea of some sort of plot of subliminal messages plus, yeah, I mean, we got all kinds of good things, and then taking down demise or figuring out what the sad demise situation is and fixing it. And then yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. It's just like kind of fun.
All right.
There's not anything that I'm not looking forward to. How's that?
Okay. Marley.
Yeah, I mean, my only wish is that I can actually fit some of these terrible plans, more than one of these terrible plans, or action, not necessarily the whole terrible plan, but action on at least 2 terrible plans in
Okay.
a single session. Because now I have, yeah, two large ones. I want to track down Demise and try to get their help in taking down Aegis Alliance and and also capture a Dollbot and turn it into a new body for Heller.
Yeah,
These
absolutely.
will totally work.
I'm going to echo Patrick. I don't see how those things could go wrong in any way. Awesome. Anything you want to give shout outs to stars?
That whole, yeah, Heller's entire, you met this guy, that's so cool. That whole thing was amazing. Like just the in character reactions watching Tyler and Jerry like bounce off of each other is always fun. So
Nice.
and the continuing purple theme.
Yes. Riddle.
This it was really good to get back into it, and I like the sort of like new set of hooks we sort of laid out of ways to go forward. I especially loved that. I feel like at the beginning of the game we sort of it was Rocky figuring out how and why we were a group, why we were in each other's lives, like how we work together, and this is like the second or third time we've had a like family dinner scene or like family meal scene that I thought was really interesting and went really well towards showing how we are a group and how we're growing further into that. But I especially loved all of the discussion and theories and like revelations around Marley and the changes happening to them. I agree with you, Sherry. The like growing the data pad was super cool, and I love that you rolled that move early in the session, and you were coyly like, maybe it'll give me a hold to grow this technology, and it didn't. So later on, you're like, this is what I'm doing. I want this outcome, and that was super cool to see. And then like how it was mirrored and how your neurochip is changing. That whole scene was super fascinating. I loved it. Wishes. This is just in the form of like something that occurred to me, but I didn't quite get to fit into this session.
Sure.
Is after that, like I think a riddle feels very like how Marley is talking about how these new powers and abilities are changing and how these senses are like weird for them to deal with is echoing very closely with Riddle and his process of like adapting to the cyber brain. And so I want to see if I can hook like Marley and Genji loop up, like make a connection there, because Genji was so important to Riddle in making it through that process. Want to try and like offer some personal resources for Marley in the middle of all this. Let's help your people and let's fix the environment.
You know, it's really super dangerous to hack your own brain. You know, it really is. I learned that from Johnny Mnemonic. You know, it's super dangerous to do that. So
An important documentary.
exactly. Gabriel.
This was awesome. This felt really good. Again, as Patrick said, the dinner scenes when we're together has made a real depth to why we are a group. I think that's fun. And Marley giving us, you know, letting out all of this story, giving us, you know, what's going on, why I'm here, what developed from that, us learning something truly horrible. It was just it all started with Ethan, you coming in and saying, okay, I'm going to lay this on the table for us all. We all reacted to it really well, and in a supportive, like, we're with you, we're gonna, you know, okay, what's up, and us all coming to revelations with it was just a neat scene. It was a lot of fun. I loved seeing Riddle and the alter ego. That's neat. And you doing it as the apparatus, super cool. Not the apparatus, the attached. Super cool. That is a really neat way to deal with that. So I highly applaud that. That was a huge star. And Lowell, this one felt very pointed, and you just were snap, just moving us through stuff. It was so smooth. It was just a really great run tonight.
Oh, good.
So solid. And I liked at the end there seeing us all kind of, once we split off, seeing the things we did.
I loved your scene there. Let me just say this. I loved like the note that you had there, the visual of it, and the character revelation moment. Like, I have to call that out as just dynamite work. Like, really, really good.
For Wishes, I kind of think we're at a spot where we get the earphones, the ability to make that music.
Okay.
I think that is where we're at. So many other things can start spinning off of that. I sort of would like to see that project reach its culmination.
Yeah, we will put that into play next time. We'll get the pieces, and we'll have that, since it has been a project that's been percolating. I think you're right. We should definitely do that.
It's a percolator.
It's not a percolator. And if anyone at home has never heard the song, please look that up.
But that's my wishes. Good game tonight.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.